Like I had attention because of my weight. People would look at me and stare at me because of my weight. And that made me very uncomfortable. And I noticed like people were not looking at the actors I knew because they were whoever they were.
Right.
They were looking at this very surface thing of like, that's Johnny from fucking the Wonder Years or Punky Brewster or something like that.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's got to be so relieving that they're kind of like who they actually are is anonymous. And it became this like invisibility cloak I could wear. Like I'm an actor now. Nobody's looking at me because I'm 500 pounds. They're looking at me because they saw me on TV.
Interesting.
So there was that like bit of psychology. There is like a lot of anonymity in acting.
You're right. That's true. I mean, even you think about somebody like, which I don't like, that's the funny thing is like comedians, and especially with podcasts and just like, I think it's a more confessional art form anyway, but you're right where it's like, I do feel like, you know, you started a podcast when you're 25 with your friends that you never thought anyone was going to listen to, and you said the most just honest, ridiculous shit ever, and then it's like, oh, it ended up being insanely successful, and now 10 years later, and probably in perpetuity, I'll be talking into a micro. Like, I never expected to tell so much of myself, but you're so right in that, like, what the fuck do we know about Brad Pitt?
Nothing.
And that's like the most
I
famous
know he's
guy.
A carpenter.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. You know what his PR team wants you to
Exactly.
know. Like we don't know shit. You're so. I never thought of like actors that way because it's like, yeah, no one knows that. Like nobody, unless somebody writes some kind of crazy profile, and even then, you get a snapshot,
and you're only getting what they want to show you.
Yeah.
So is that really them?
Yeah.
You know, like I'm a fan of Cum Town. I loved listening to Cum Town. Cum Town for me was what it felt like to be in a locker room. Like if I was hiding in a locker room.
Well,
at
they wouldn't
13,
have made the other two wouldn't have made the team.
Right.
I'm the only
saying.
varsity athlete on the team on the podcast.
but you're
brittle bones on Mr. Friedland, and Nick would have never been able to listen to a coach tell him anything. So,
but you're listening in on an honest conversation amongst teenage boys.
It really was just
There's no like
there was no filter. It was like
when we
how you
finally
talk.
met. My expectation was not it's going to constantly be dick jokes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think that for some people with actors, it is like my expectation of you is that you're Randy from My Name Is Earl, or another person could be that you're the racist guy from American History X, which gets scary sometimes because when people are really into that movie, you're like, what? Did you not get it?
Dude, yeah. You know? Oh, yeah, you don't say, yeah, I don't know anything about that with Cum Town. It's like people not getting that a joke isn't what we believe sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, I would say there is a little crossover between the American History X guys and a certain percentage of Cum Town listeners. Yeah.
So there's that, but there is probably a level of anonymity for you where people just make this assumption they know you, and so you're like,
that's a good point because I
don't have any idea of who I actually am.
That's a good point because they don't, right? And especially Come Town in particular, it was like that was even like not even a real dynamic.
Right.
That was like what we did to get through an episode, you know. But it was like, and it was weird. Some people just like thought we were like we slept in like a triple bunk bed,
right?
And then it's like friends. We saw each other 4 hours a week, and it's like we were friends, but it was never like people really thought we were like, you know, born in, you know, we were like triplets or some shit. It was really bizarre, and it was like, no, man, we just had a good rapport on mic.
Like when Adam was shitting his pants while doing
that was
the show,
awesome. Yeah,
I remember thinking like, well, they're roommates, so he probably does this all the time.
Yeah,
and it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah,
and they're playing up to it because don't your roommates typically shit their pants in the same place?
Yeah, and we've never lived together. We were never, but that was actually a hilarious moment of like, I didn't even know. Is Adam doing a bit? Like, I was like, he can't have actually shit in the chair. That really was a moment where I was like, what is going on? That was like...
Have we jumped the shark?
I still to this day don't really know what happened.
Right.
Like, I think he just shit his pants,
but he made a meal out of shitting his pants.
It was crazy. And it was a legendary moment that that I think about sometimes and still smile. Because like Adam was good at like always being in on the bit, but that felt like a moment where it was like, I thought he was in on it, and then I'm like, wait, is he actually this sad about shitting? Now I feel actually bad.
We're shaming him for his incontinence.
But then he also did shit in the chair, which is weird and like, why? That's just disrespectful as shit on your friend's property when you're a grown man without like, I don't know, ass cancer. Like if he had like some
ass
condition
or like withdrawing from heroin.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like very sick.
Not what was going on. Just took a cold brew too fast. Like that was it. And it's like you should be able to figure this out. But no, that you know, that's a good point, because I guess it bothers me a little bit because I feel like a lot of people just have no idea who I am and make the assumption that they do.
And with stand-up too, like I think your stand-up's very funny. It's not always exactly who you are.
Right. For sure.
It's heightened.
And for stand-up, I think what's nice, what's fun artistically is like the pursuit is to get as close as you can to what I want people to know about. There's you know, certain things, and that's another struggle is like when you start, you're like whatever for a laugh, and then you get to a point you're like, well, I have a life. I want certain things to be my own.
Yeah.
But like there is that pursuit, but you're absolutely right. It's like people just get these snapshots, and that's a good perspective to see it as like more of an invisibility cloak than I guess the difference is those are roles, and this is at least somewhat derived from my life, even though, especially on Cum Town and certainly certain jokes, it's like I am effectively playing a role, right? But at least it blurs the line even one step further. But it is a good perspective to be like, no, that actually is almost like a good thing, because the guy they think exists is just not a real guy. Yeah. That's interesting.
It's what I've shown you. For an actor, it is different because I'm